Hello, I'm Jodie Hurwitz.
Greg Michaud. I'm the EP Director at Beth Israel Hospital in Boston.
And we're here today to talk about the American Board of Cardiovascular Medicine, ABCVM. So I hope everybody remembers that the application that came from 5 societies: American Heart Association, American College of Cardiology, SCI, HFSA, and of course us, went into the American Board of Medical Specialties, ABMS, in January. And we found out in March of this year that our application was turned down. So I think this is important to talk about, and maybe you could tell us a little bit background on why this board was initially started.
Yeah. Well, I think really a lot, if you take a step back, Jeff Couvin and Ed Fry really have been thinking about this for a long time and working with the ACC because I think we call it the House of Cardiology in board language, but the House of Cardiology has really called for this. There's a lot of frustration with the ABIM's methods for both potentially initial certification, but particularly continuing certification, feeling that it's too expensive, too onerous for busy people in practice, and wanted something more cost-effective and that reflects your real life journey as a cardiologist, that to maintain competence isn't like taking a test, right? Some people are good test takers, some aren't. But it's not a test that should determine your competence. It's ongoing learning, assessment of whether you're learning, and then eventually you get a stamp of approval and you have continued certification. I think when we put in the application, we felt like we checked all those boxes.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, we got turned down, and so we can talk a little bit about why that is, if you want to start in.
Yeah, I think we were a little bit surprised, both of us, the whole board. There were some financial issues that ABMS said that we didn't quite check all the boxes. That the feeling was that having 2 boards that were doing cardiovascular medicine, that would be ABIM, as well as our ABCVM, meant that the ABCVM would not be financially viable. We learned that ABMS does not have any actual jurisdiction over ABIM, and so can't really say to them, we're going to pull cardiology from you. So there would be 2 competing boards, and they felt that there were some pretty significant issues with that. There were a couple of other things, and I think one of the things that I think you would agree with me was most surprising was their comments that they didn't get a sense that there was real support from cardiovascular medicine as a whole. I think that talking amongst ourselves and all the people here and in each of our organizations, we get the sense that there's quite a lot of support for the American Board of Cardiovascular Medicine.
Yeah. There were over 800 respondents when there was an open comment period. But of course, we're busy people. Mm-hmm. Although there may be 30,000 plus board certified cardiologists in the country, you're not going to, what percentage means that there's great support? I don't know. And the way that they ask for feedback is not particularly easy.
Mm-hmm.
How did people even find out about it? We tried to let people know, please make comments, but you know how that goes. When you put out a survey, if you get 10% back, you're pretty happy
We're pretty
about
lucky.
that.
Yeah.
So,
right.
if that's your gauge of what enthusiasm is, but we know better because we talk to people and we see what the actual community wants. And they do not, almost without fail, what they don't want is the continued ABIM method.
Right.
And I think we were pretty surprised to find out that, once you incorporate as a board, and now you're taken in by ABMS, ABMS actually has very little control over what that board does. So if the ABIM says, fine, accept their application, but we're still going to offer initial and maintenance of certification, and then you just let people choose which they want, ABMS didn't think that would fly, but
Right.
it looked a catch-22. So we were really in a tough situation
Right.
in that scenario. So I guess the next thing would be to talk about, like, where do we go?
Right.
here.
And so I think the big thing that we are not giving up. I think that is absolutely the way we feel. And really where we're going from here is a little bit up in the air. One of the things that ABMS has told us is that we can reapply in 2 years. That's a lot of work that we've already done, and a lot of work that we would still have to do to satisfy a lot of the issues that they had. Do we go it alone? Does ABCVM go it alone? And that's one of the things that I think we're discussing. Do we partner with other societies? We've been talking, or are in the process of talking with different societies, not through the typical ABMS umbrella, if you will, to see what possible things we can do from now on.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's kind of where we are. I think if we went it alone, it's very doable. Honestly, if we had the cardiology community come with us en masse, I don't think ABIM would be a competitive board much longer, even if we weren't part of ABMS, if we were completely separate. The one thing that we have to be sure of is that your hospitals continue to credential you based on certification with a new board, that your payers would pay you when you're certified by a new board. And I think we could overcome that. It's the initial funding to start up something like that. It's not cheap to start a new board and start a certification process and a maintenance of certification process. I don't want to say maintenance. Continued certification.
Right,
I don't want to use
I said that
ABIM
too,
language.
right.
But I think, so we have some work to do there, but I'm confident that the House of Cardiology, not just EP, but
Yeah.
the whole House of Cardiology, we can get enough enthusiasm and hopefully funding from societies and maybe even directly from cardiologists
From
to launch this
yes,
thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I guess the bottom line is stay tuned, continue to support all of us, pay attention. I think speaking for Greg and myself, this ABCVM is not going away. So thank you.